What's up, college football fans? Welcome back to an all new episode of the Cover 2 College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Smithson, joined as always by my co host, the Okie Longhorn himself, Dalt, as usual. First and foremost, how are we doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing well. I am relieved to talk a little football, even if it is only for an hour and a half. This officer class I'm taking that I've just been mentally drained with has just took over my week, and it's nice to have this little break. So I am more grateful than this podcast tonight than I have been in a really long time.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. Always good to kind of unplug from anything you're doing. Take a little time to yourself. I think this is it's kind of an escape for both of us. You know, we love talking college football, kind of in our own little world here for an hour or two a week. But Dal, we've got some college football to talk about. No games outside of the Army Navy game, which we're not going to really touch on because it just there was you know no meaning to that game as far as the podcast is concerned. It's obviously a great game with a lot of tradition, but we're not going to talk about that game. Um, we've got some transfer portal stuff we're going to get into off the rip, and then from there, Dalt, it's our second annual bowl bonanza, I guess. If that's but we're going to pick every single bowl game this season, see how we do. I'm sure, like in our regular season picks, you'll probably do better than me because you seem to be a little bit better at this than me. So we'll we'll see how it goes. But we've got obviously to talk about. And I guess we can get right into the transfer portal stuff, Dalt. Obviously, probably the biggest news is with some quarterbacks. Since the last time we talked, now formerly Oklahoma quarterback Dylan Gabriel, he had entered the portal, has now committed to go play at Oregon next year. Ohio State quarterback Kyle McCord has entered the portal and looking like he may be going to Nebraska, of all places. And then from that, you've got Riley Leonard, your guy out there at Duke. He appears he's committed to Notre Dame. So back to back rentals for Notre Dame as far as that's concerned. Um, Dalt, there's obviously the portal is madness. Like we could sit here and talk about this for probably 2 hours if we wanted to. I mean, what do you make of the landscape of college football right now? Like as far as this portal is concerned, is it good, bad, okay? Like what are we doing?
We we have officially lost all hopes of reining the portal in. You have the one free transfer, then you have grad transfers, which I will hold nothing ever against a grad transfer. If he's there for 4 years, 3 years, graduates, he let him go where he wants. I've said that many times. But then you've got stuff where position coaches leave or head coach gets fired, and which don't get me wrong, that's a good thing. But a lot of these kids are going to jump into the portal and land in worse situations than what they left. Um, does recruiting quarterbacks out of high school anymore even matter? I mean, I
I
know
mean,
we've talked about it.
yeah, it's hard to. I mean, I think it still matters. Yes, you obviously want to try, and get the upper echelon guys, the 5 stars of the world that they have all of that potential that's obviously in their recruiting ranking. But it's also kind of one of them deals where if you swing and miss on recruits, it's like, well, hey, there's going to be about 15 or 20, legitimate 10 to 15 legitimate good quarterbacks that we may be able to go out and get. And that's an interesting way of looking at it as far as hurting recruiting, especially hurting these high school players because of these guys that. I mean, I noticed your tweet the other day. Like, is this 2018 class ever going to be out of college? Like, or
They refuse to move on.
are we going to be sitting here 3 years from now and somehow they're going to find like 3 more years of eligibility? Like, I know we have the COVID year, we have some injury stuff, like things happen, but guys, the course, you've run your course. Like let's move on and like get some new blood in here. Like some of these guys that, I mean, you're seeing guys making their third and fourth stops, and at what point do you look at it as, hey man, maybe this is like a you problem, not like all these different programs that you've been at. Like it's just kind of out of control. But then on top of that, it's something that nobody wants to talk about, Dalt. And we make jokes about it, obviously, but the tampering stuff, how many of these guys may be hitting the portal because there's certain schools or certain, every school does it, I'm sure. But you've got guys, reaching out to family members, parents, et cetera, maybe not specifically the player, saying, hey, we got this NIL deal. Hey, hit the portal and you're free to come. Like, how much of that is going on?
Oh, there's tons of it. Jeff Traylor is Texas might not want to be poking that bear. He's already come out publicly and said in his post season press conference, he said I've got 4 or 5 guys that are being tampered with right now. And sure enough, the American Defensive Player of the Year is in the portal, and scary enough, my Longhorns are one of the top 2 teams he's considering. So you're getting into the day and age where it may not be coaches reaching out to these players or their families, or it might be players reaching out through like what coach said this, like whatever. But it's getting bad, and it's going to kill these smaller schools, and these bigger schools are somehow they're going to end up getting in trouble for it. Now I
The
know there's loopholes that I'm sure all these bigger schools that are like, hey, the letter of the law says we can't do this, but it
right,
doesn't say we can't do this.
sure.
So
I mean,
there's a lot of loopholes, but this is the nature of the beast. This is what the NCAA let the transfer portal get out of control, and they said they've let NIL get out of control to
yeah,
the point where it's just now you're this is they literally said that you wanted this, now you have
yeah.
it.
Well,
We
that,
don't care
yeah.
what it does.
Oh, no doubt. And I mean, just as far as, affecting me, like you have the news today of one of our offensive linemen at Oklahoma hitting the portal that totally shocked everybody. Like I was listening to the radio and these guys on live radio were like speechless because they did not know like how to react to this because it was so unexpected. And not that this guy's like nationally going to be talked about, but as for OU, it was a big deal. And I was talking about it at work with a guy, and he's like, "Man, something's got to change. Like they've got to do something about this." And I'm like, "Hey, this is what everybody wanted. We wanted to give all this power to these kids, to these players, give them all this money, give them, all this freedom to transfer. And I'm not trying to take all that away. And you know how I feel about the portal, how I feel about NIL. I think it's good to an extent, but it is totally out of control. And that's nobody else's fault but the NCAA because they have let it come to that. But we're not going to talk really about that. But just some other notable names that I hadn't mentioned. You have Walter Nolan out of A&M. He's currently on three's number one ranked player in the portal right now. He's a defensive lineman. You've got Cam Ward, the quarterback out there at Washington State, who he was a transfer when he went to Washington State. So this is going to be a third trip around the sun for him as far as new school goes. And then, Dante Moore, quarterback, another notable quarterback. Will Howard out of Kansas State. I mean, there's just quarterbacks everywhere. I mean, it's insane. Trevor Etienne, the running back out of Florida. I just was, looking through the top 10. Trey Moore, who I know you guys have a good chance down there at Texas. You just talked about Jeff Traylor at UTSA. He's a linebacker or edge rusher out of UTSA. Really good player. You have the Childs kid, the quarterback out of Oregon State, that looks like he's going to follow Jonathan Smith. And that's like a situation you talked about where you have a coaching change, which, I can get behind that a little bit. Like, guys, I know they say commit to the school, not the coach or whatever, but kids commit to coaches. They don't,
Commit
they
to
don't,
the coach. They
yeah,
don't
like,
give a damn about your program.
right. and I think some kids do care a little bit more about the program, but they do care probably more than anything about the coach. Like, this guy's going to develop me into the player that I need to become to get to the next level. But I just wanted to touch on the portal, Dalt. We're not gonna spend a ton of time on it. We're not gonna dissect it. Do you really have anything in particular you want to add before we honestly just kind of get right into these bowl picks?
No, not really. Another third trip around the sun guy, DJU, looking at Florida State.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's
Um,
another one.
so I mean, did the Dante Moore leaves UCLA, the 5-star top whatever quarterback last year? I think he was top 5 quarterback. Now he's at
Hmm.
Oregon. Like, the carousel is ongoing. Will Howard gets ran out of Kansas State by the freshman.
Yeah.
It's just KJ Jefferson
Yeah.
leaving
Oh,
Arkansas.
yeah. He's like 75 years old. You have him and Rocket Sanders both. They're both leaving town. It's just, it's madness, Dalt. I mean, quarterbacks obviously probably the most notable thing, but you have quarterbacks, you have running backs, wide receivers, and then I would say like defensive linemen are probably your four like main position groups of guys that you. There's a lot of offensive linemen too, but those four positions I feel like are definitely the four like most notable guys. But again, we won't beat this to death, and we'll continue to talk about the portal in the off season. We obviously don't record as much in the off season because there's just not as much going on, but we try to get together occasionally, touch on portals, touch on spring ball, stuff like that. Obviously, we have the early signing period coming up, and then you'll have the regular signing period next into the next year. But we'll get right into these games. If you're ready to go on this trek, we've got, I don't even know how many. I think it's like what, 30 something bowl games or something like that.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
That's quite a few.
so we will we're kicking off Saturday, so just a few more days and we get some more college football. And I guess I told you earlier I didn't list all these games in order or anything like that. I'm just strictly going to go to ESPN, start from the freshest date, and we're going to pick these games. We're not going to pick them like we did in the regular season. We're not picking against the spread. We're picking straight up winners, and we're going to see how we do. I believe you won this last year, if I remember correct. I think, again, this is not my strong suit. So anybody that listens to this podcast, don't take my advice on picking against the spread or picking winners, money lines, anything like that, or you might lose some money. But Dalt, our first game, we've got the Myrtle Beach Bowl, and that features the Georgia Southern Eagles coming in at 6-6 against the Ohio Bobcats, who are 9-3. This game is played in obviously South Carolina, Myrtle Beach. So I'm going to be honest with you, Doll. I don't know like three things about either one of these teams, but I just kind of look at the matchup predictor. Obviously, Ohio is favored by Georgia Southern is favored by 3.5, but the matchup predictor, they give Ohio a 55% chance to win this game. What do you think here, Adult? Give me
Uh,
your
Georgia Southern's on a 4-game skid coming into bowl season. Give me
now
OHIO Bobcats.
the Ohio Bobcats. Yeah, is Clay Helton still at Georgia Southern? Is that correct?
I believe so.
Man, you know what? No, I can't do it. Ohio's 9-3. Ohio's going for a 10-win season, Dalt. How often do the Ohio Bobcats? How often do they get a 10-win season? I mean, come on.
Maction.
Yes, sir. So give me Ohio as well. Again, to our listeners, some of these games we're probably going to talk a little bit more in depth about than others, but some of them we're basically going to make a pick, kind of set it, forget it, move on, and we will go right to our next game, Dalt. This is the Cricket Celebration Bowl, and we are featuring 6-5 Howard against 11-1 Florida A&M. Coming in here, I know nothing about Florida A&M, but they've got to be a half decent football team if they're 11-1. This game looks like it's in New Orleans. Or no, is that Atlanta? I know there's no, yeah, Atlanta. Down in Atlanta. I get confused because there's two Mercedes-Benz stadiums, and they're fairly close. But let's see here, Adult. I don't have a favorite in this game. There's nothing on ESPN as far as a point spread.
So,
So,
give me the
uh,
11-1 team.
yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. I'm going to also take Florida A&M. The only thing that I know nothing about Howard. The only time I've ever seen anything about Florida A&M, they've played Oklahoma a few times in my life, and I believe I went to one of those games when they played them. But
I believe this is the HBCU
yeah,
uh,
I
bowl
think you're
game.
right. Yeah, yeah, I think you're right. The Rattlers, Florida A&M Rattlers. What a missed opportunity for Spencer. Could have went down to Florida, got him a pretty sweet NIL deal, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, moving on. R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl. Dalt. We've got Jacksonville State 8-4 taking on Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns, formerly Louisiana Lafayette. But Jacksonville State here, they come in as a 3.5 point favorite, Dalt. And man, I again, I you know, I'm trying to get a little intel on these games, and there's just like nothing. I mean, this game,
There's nothing to be had in these lower bowl games. We're just picking teams.
we've got a Jacksonville State with a 53% chance to win. So who do you like here, Dalt? This one, I feel like this one's a little tougher, even though Jacksonville State's got the better record.
Yeah, because it's basically a home game for Louisiana,
Right.
which is formerly Louisiana
Lafayette. Yep.
Lafayette. Yeah.
Mhm.
Give me Jacksonville State. Go Cox.
Jayville State. I'm going to actually go Louisiana here because of that being kind of a home game for them. The ghost of Billy Napier is going to show up for the Raging Cajuns, and they're going
He's
to get
al-
it done.
he's already showed up in Florida.
They're going to get it done. So we'll go ahead and move on, and we've got the Avocados from Mexico Cure Bowl. Miami of Ohio, another team that I could have never told you, Dalt, was 11-2, coming in here to take on Appalachian State, who's 8-5. App State comes in here as a 6.5 point favorite. Um, Obviously, just giving you that info. You're looking at it too. So, um, ESPN likes Appalachian State. You like Miami, Miami of Ohio, or App State?
Miami of Ohio is the MAC champ, by the way.
Yeah, that's
They
right.
are the MAC champions, but you're not going to get a whole lot done against this from the mountains hillbilly App State team. So give me App State.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. I like App State as well. Miami of Ohio, is that am I correct in that was Ben Roethlisberger's alma mater? Is that right, or was he Ohio? I know he was one of the two.
I believe he was
I think
Miami of Ohio.
yeah, I think he was Miami of Ohio. So uh, they may need Big Ben to win this game in his prime anyway. But yeah, I like Appalachian State too. Uh, Probably just a little bit more physical team than what they're used to seeing. So I'm gonna take App State as well. And we're just rolling right along here. Dalt, I guess you're looking at. Do you have any idea how to pronounce this? Isleta? Is that right? Isleta, New Mexico Bowl. We'll just call it the New Mexico Bowl.
Yeah, it's got to be the
That's
Isleta.
obviously just the sponsor, but we've got New Mexico State, who it was New Mexico State that beat Auburn, correct?
Yes, like a drum.
Coming coming in here at 10-4. I believe they played for their conference championship, but I think they lost that game.
They lost it to Liberty. Yes.
Yeah. They're taking on the Fresno State Bulldogs. They come in here, New Mexico State, as a 3.5 point favorite in the New Mexico Bowl. You bring up kind of that home field advantage thing back in that New Orleans Bowl, but who do you like here, Dalt?
Um, I like Fresno State here. I feel like they've probably seen probably a little bit better competition than what um New Mexico State has. I know you said, well, they played Auburn. They're in the SEC. Yeah, well, Auburn's trash. So, yeah, give me Fresno
There, but
State. They're on a little bit
okay.
of a skid right now, but I think they can get it right in their bowl game.
Yeah, I mean, Fresno State, that's a team that they were in the top 25 for a couple of weeks this past season. They beat a Power Five team in Purdue week one, uh, and they beat Arizona State, which Arizona State's horrid. But I'm going to take the home team here, and I'm going to take New Mexico State just to be a little different and add a little flair, Dalt. So we will move on, and this is probably our first bowl game with a couple teams that most of our listeners are going to be, pretty familiar with. But that is the Starco Brands LA Bowl, and it features the UCLA Bruins and the Boise State Broncos. UCLA comes in here as a 3.5 point favorite. And I believe it's true, Dalt. Boise State fired their coach and went on to win their conference championship. That is correct. Yeah, that's what I thought. So
Yeah, they fired their coach in like week 3 or 4, and they
yeah,
went on like a 8 or 9 game or 7 or 8 game run to
hmm
win their conference.
yeah. Who you like here?
I like UCLA. I know you're going to say, well, who plays quarterback? Who's going to play quarterback for UCLA? I don't think it matters. UCLA's defense is good enough to kind of keep this a low scoring fist fight in order for their offense to make a play. So, yeah, give me UCLA. I think Carson Steele is the difference maker in this game.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I think UCLA defense is going to be, even though they did lose their defensive coordinator to USC, so I assume he's not going to be coaching in this game. But you still have the same players. A lot of that staff is obviously going to be there. Really stout defense was one of the better defenses in that conference, and really a pretty good defense across all of college football. And you're right, you don't really know the quarterback situation for UCLA, but when you mix a good defense with a pretty good running back in the Steel kid, like you said, I just think UCLA is just they're just a little too much for Boise State. So I'm going to take the Bruins as well. And you're probably going to enjoy talking about this next one. We've got the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl, and Dalt, this must be a typo because it says California is playing Texas Tech. And last I heard that the Big 12 ran through Lubbock. So I'm not sure what Texas Tech is doing in the Independence Bowl,
They did.
but
The Big 12 did run through Lubbock. It ran through Lubbock. It ran over Lubbock. It ran around Lubbock, and it just basically whooped Lubbock into submission. But give me the Red Raiders to win this game. I think that Taj Brooks is about to have a huge game. I know after their just absolute drumming they took in Austin about a month ago. That's got to be the last thing that Joey McGuire wants his guys to feel before they go out here and play this Cal team. But yeah, give me Texas Tech. I think Taj Brooks is going to have a big game.
is he one of the more underrated running backs in college football?
100%. The
I
fact
mean,
that Texas Tech is so bad that he couldn't even get a nod for the Doak Walker
yeah, I mean,
is
you're looking at
is that's a shame. He should hit the portal. He would have been the top running back in the portal.
just over 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns, which is not crazy, but that's pretty good.
And
Um,
Texas Tech's offense, yeah, that's good.
right. So I'm also going to take the Red Raiders. I think Cal's, they're fine. I think they're a little better than what everybody thought that they would be. They took USC to the wire, which who didn't this year, but um, I think Cal's fine. These are probably two fairly balanced teams, I would say, but Texas Tech's a 2.5 point favorite. I like the Red Raiders here. I think they're just a little bit more talented in places that it really matters. So I'm going to take Texas Tech. So we will move on, Dalt. And this is those games are all on Saturday that we just picked. So just a few more days, college football fans, just a few more days that you got to make it, and you've got tons of games to watch. But we'll move on to Monday, December 18th, Dalt. We've got the famous Toastery Bowl. Now, I'm telling you, these bowl games, these names, I can't. I can't keep up. But we've got the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, Dalt, taking on Old Dominion. And Old Dominion comes in here as a 2.5 point favorite. And Dalton, I can't name either of the coaches for this team. Can't name a single player on either team. So who do you like?
Give me the Hilltoppers. They're just because they're probably going to wear some awesome uniform that they've drew up.
Yeah, they do. Wasn't it them? They had the mascot on the helmet, and
For
he
every
was in
position.
a different. Yeah, he was in a different like every position group had their own design for the mask. That was pretty cool. I know some people didn't really like that, but that was pretty cool. They do have nice uniforms. I'm going to take the Hilltoppers as well. You know, I I don't really have any merit behind it other than just think there may be a better team. So yeah, give me the Hilltoppers, and we will continue on here in the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. I'm embarrassed to even have to read some of these bowl names, Dalt. Like, I mean, what?
They're bad. They're bad.
can can we get a cover two podcast bowl? Like, you think we could? Barstool, they have their own bowl. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure we've got the weight for that, but maybe if our listeners would bump up their support, we could get our own bowl featured here on the show. But
Maybe
we've
we
got
could get TCU and Colorado in a rematch.
yeah, right.
Battle of the 4 and 8s and the 5 and 7s.
Yeah, we can come have them play down here at the local high school and
We'll have them
see. I
play
mean,
at Dakota. That way,
yeah,
Dakota's got turf now.
right, true. So Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl, Dalt. We've got the UTSA Roadrunners and against the Marshall Thundering Herd. UTSA comes in here as a 12.5 point favorite, and I think that's probably pretty fair. Who do you like here?
Hey, I just got one phrase for you. Look at me. We are
You going Marshall?
going to get beat by 40 by UTSA. That's the chance. Frank Harris is. This is probably Frank Harris's last collegiate game. He may throw for 800 yards.
Yeah, I like UTSA as well. Just think, I don't think Marshall's very good, and I don't think UTSA is great. I think that they kind of had a down year compared to what they were a year ago and what they've kind of been. But Jeff Traylor, we've talked about him. He's a great coach. I think he'll have them ready to play in this game. Like you said, quarterback, probably his last game. He's going to want to go out. So I'll take the Roadrunners as well, and we will move on to the roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl. The University of South Florida taking on Syracuse, the Orange. Both of these teams are 6-6, Dalt. Just trying to keep things fresh here, Dalt. We got to provide a little bit of comedic relief for our listeners for some of these games. Syracuse actually comes in here as a 3.5 point or a 3 point favorite in this game. Who do you like in the Boca Raton Bowl?
Garrett Schrader is a really good quarterback for Syracuse, but let's not discount what the Byram Brown kid has done for USF this year. Give me the Bulls to win this in a big upset in Florida. Yeah, give me the Bulls. This is a South Florida team that lost to Alabama by 2 scores. There aren't very many teams in the country that can say that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to go UCF here, or USF. That probably makes some people mad if they listen to that. I'm going to go USF as well. I do like the Schrader kid at Syracuse, but they're, Dino Bavers out at Syracuse. I can't even think of who they hired, but just, going through a lot of change there at Syracuse. And I think, you're over here name dropping guys, but their quarterback, I mean, pretty good. Over 3,000 yards, 23 touchdowns, like pretty good player, looks like, based on stats. So I'm going to go with the Bulls as well. And that takes us to our next game, Dalt. We've got the Union Home Mortgage. Is it Gasparilla? Is that how you say that?
Gasparilla Bowl. Yes,
The
sir.
Gasparilla Bowl, which features the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets taking on the UCF Knights. Um, UCF comes in here, Dalt, 4.5 point favorite. Another game featuring a couple 6-6 teams, nothing special. Georgia Tech, they finished off the regular season with that game against Georgia. Played the Bulldogs pretty close early on. I don't remember what the final was to that game. Yeah, only 31-23. So they hung around with Georgia in that rivalry game. But we know UCF has kind of been they've kind of been hot and cold. They've had some games that they've looked, pretty good, and then they've had some games where they have looked horrid. I mean, just awful. So who do you like here?
Give me the 2017 national champions, the UCF Knights.
UCF Knights. Okay. Um, yeah, I think UCF probably has the better coach. I think they're definitely better at quarterback with the Plumlee kid. I guess he's going to play. I assume. I have not seen anything about him not playing. I don't know why he wouldn't. So yeah, give me the Knights as well. I think that team is a lot better than their record indicates. I just think that I think they had some growing pains that they went through in the Big 12 this year against teams that they're not really used to playing. But I think UCF's a pretty solid football team, especially for being a 6-6 team. So we'll move on here, Dalt. The 76, which that's the gas station, 76, Birmingham Bowl. The Troy, what is Troy? The Spartans? Is that right? Or the Trojans?
I believe it's the Trojans.
Okay. Troy against your Duke Blue Devils, who they kind of spiraled down the stretch here in the latter half of the season, losing to North Carolina, Virginia, got blanked by Louisville. You going to go with Duke here, Adult, one last time, or you
Hell,
taking Troy?
hell no. I took the banners down. Banners are down. No Mike Elko, no Riley Leonard. No, no. Give me Troy. All the live long day.
Man, what a shame for Duke, man. You know what were they like 6-1 and ranked in the top 20? And I mean they were right there with Florida State for much of that game. And then after that Florida State game, they just kind of plummeted. I mean, the rest of the way. Uh, but I if they had Riley Leonard, I'd probably feel a little better. But again, it's another situation where you lose your coach, you lose your coaching staff. Like some of them, I just can't. I don't feel comfortable taking Duke here. So give me Troy as well. Would be a 12-2 season for Troy. What a year that would be. Another kid, it looks like, based on numbers at quarterback, the Watson kid for Troy, just over 3,300 yards, 27 touchdowns to 5 picks. Maybe that guy needs to get in the portal. Talking about all these quarterbacks in the portal. But yeah, give me
Well,
Troy,
not
Dalt,
only
and
that.
we'll keep the ball rolling here, and we're
Look
headed
at
over
their
to the
running back,
go ahead.
real quick. Running back, 1,500 yards, 14 touchdowns.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead and get
this
in
is
the
a
portal
really
as
good Troy
well. Do you
team.
like covered wagons? Yeah. I,
What line is he going to run behind?
yeah, no kidding. No kidding. They're taking open tryouts at Oklahoma for offensive line currently. I'm pretty sure. Uh, Anyway, moving on, not to get off track here. The Camellia Bowl, Dalt, we've got the Arkansas State Red Wolves, who, if you had told me after week one of college football made a bowl game, I would have been like, there's no way. Taking on the Northern Illinois. Is it what, the Wolfpack? Is that the Wolves? I know their mascot's a wolf, but I think it's a Wolfpack. Um, Both of these teams 6-6. Again, Dalt. Arkansas State actually comes in here as a 1 point favorite, and I, who you like?
Give me Northern Illinois. This is uncharted territory for Arkansas State. So give me the Huskies.
Okay, Butch Jones, coach at Arkansas State, by the way. Um, I don't know anything about Northern Illinois at all. Don't really know anything about Arkansas State. Like I said, I saw them week one. They played my Oklahoma Sooners and got just absolutely eviscerated by OU.
You had
Um,
Butch Jones crying on the sideline.
yeah, he was looked to be in a bit of a blunder during that game. Um, you know what? Why not? Give me Butch Jones. Give me Arkansas State. I got friends from college that are from Jonesboro, Arkansas. So give me Arky State. Give me the Red Wolves, and we're gonna go with it, Dalt. That takes us to our next game, the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. Dalt. We've got the 11-1 James Madison Dukes taking on the Air Force Falcons, coming in here at 8-4. James Madison comes in as a 3-point favorite. Who do you like, and
I
why?
like I like James Madison. I mean, they're just another really good quarterback. The McLeod kid had a great year, just under 3,500 yards, 32 touchdowns, 9 picks. Um, this is a JMU team that was undefeated, really trying to make a push for at least a potential bid at a New Year's Six game. And then they lose to App State, which App State is the dream killer.
I was about to say, just
Along
another team that falls victim to App State.
App State and the NCAA are dream killers in this. So, but yeah, give me James Madison to finish off what's a great year. I believe their
Yeah.
coach got hired somewhere else too, didn't he?
Uh, I feel like I should know that, but I don't. I don't. I'm not. I want to say you're right. I believe so. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good James Madison team. I'm going to go with the Dukes as well. James Madison, kind of a sneaky good college, like for sports. They've had that college softball team that made a run in the College World Series. They've been pretty good at baseball. I don't know about basketball, but now you have football team goes 11-1. It is kind of heart wrenching, that stuff they dealt with the NCAA, and then they get game day for what I think was the first time ever, and they lose to App State, which that's just sorry you played App State. I mean, anybody that listens to the pod, they hear our intro every week, and they know what happens against App State. Just ask Michigan or Texas A&M for that matter. But yeah, give me James Madison. We'll move on,
Yeah,
Dalt, to one.
James Madison's coach did leave. He went to Indiana.
That's right. Yeah. Yep. That's right. Okay, moving on. In what is probably one of my favorite bowl game names, in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Winner gets a trophy full of potatoes, of course, because why not? And we've got the Georgia State. What are they? I'm looking at the mascot, like the Panthers, maybe.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
not going to pretend against the Utah State. I know Utah State is the Aggies. So Utah State, 57% chance to win according to ESPN, but and they are favored by 1 point. Man, a lot of 6-6 teams in these bowl games. This is just crazy how many of these games are 6-6 versus 6-6, 6-6, 6-6. It's crazy. I mean, I know it happens every year, but who do you like here?
I don't know. I'm gonna pick the team with the brighter blue. Go Georgia State.
Okay. I'm actually going to go Utah State, simply because I'm going to assume Georgia State is in Georgia. I don't know that for a fact. I could be wrong, but I'm going to go with Utah State just simply because they're definitely closer than Georgia to Idaho. So home field advantage. Give me Utah State. We'll move on to the 68 Ventures Bowl, Dalt, featuring BP, cover your ears, South Alabama.
Ooh.
Taking USA, taking on Eastern Michigan, another matchup between 6-6 teams. But South Alabama comes in here, Dalt, as a 16-point favorite. And really the only familiarity that we both have with South Alabama, obviously, is I referred to the game against Oklahoma State, but I don't know anything about Eastern Michigan at all. Who do you like?
South Alabama.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to take South Alabama too. So, and again, the only real reason is because of that game against OSU. That's the only thing I can go off of. Next game, Dalt, the SRS distribution Las Vegas Bowl, and we've got the Utah Utes, who another team that kind of spiraled late in the season, but they come in here at 8-4 against, of all teams, Dalton, the Northwestern. Is it the Wildcats? Is that
Yes,
correct?
sir. Yes, sir.
Utah comes in here as a 7-point favorite against Northwestern, who, as far as I can tell, was one of the teams that was picked to be one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. And what a job. I can't
You
think of the
picked
guys.
them as the worst team.
I think we both did. I
I
think
thought I took Indiana.
I don't remember. I know I think we both took Northwestern, and then you said you had thought about taking Indiana. I would
Maybe.
have to go back and listen, but I definitely know I did. But I think we both thought Northwestern would be the worst, and it's because of all the stuff that had happened with,
The hazing.
Fitzgerald being getting sent away, and turns out they get this guy in there who they've now hired, I believe, permanently as the head coach. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but what a job he did coming in there, going 7-5. I know that's nothing crazy, but you come in there and just take over a disastrous situation and make it to a bowl game. Not only just a bowl game, but you go 7-5. But I think it's Utah, Dalt.
Yeah, it's Utah.
Yeah. So we both like the Utes here. I think just a little bit too much for Northwestern in that game. Could be wrong, but yeah, I'll put you down for Utah. I'm taking Utah as well. And moving on, the Easy Post Hawaii Bowl, featuring the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers and the San Jose State Spartans, I think.
Mm-hmm.
San Jose State comes in here as a 10-point favorite. I've seen them play a couple times this year. They have a pretty good quarterback. I remember watching him against USC and Oregon State. Pretty good player. I assume he's going to play in this game. Yeah. Yeah, the Cordero kid. Numbers aren't crazy, but he's a good player. The McCall kid at Coastal Carolina, another quarterback that I believe is in the portal, if that's correct. Yeah, so not real sure what their situation is going to be at quarterback. Who do you like here, Dalt?
San Jose State. I think the Cordero kid is a difference maker. He throws the ball really well, and he doesn't put it in harm's way. I mean, on the year, he only had 4 interceptions, and I think 2 of them come against Oregon State and that Oregon State defense. So, give me San Jose State.
Okay. I like San Jose State as well. They're a 10-point favorite. I think with, quarterback situation at Coastal Carolina, yeah, I like San Jose State here. Next up, we've got the Quick Lane Bowl, Dalt, and Bowling Green is going bowling, and they're taking on the one of the few teams that is in a bowl game that is actually not bowl eligible. But when we have the situation where you don't have enough bowl eligible teams, you have to take teams to fill bowls. So we've got the Minnesota Golden Gophers coming in at 5-7. And ironically enough, Minnesota actually is a 3.5-point favorite here over Bowling Green. Who do you like in this one, Dalt?
Give me row the boat, Minnesota Gophers. The Golden Gophers, apologies.
Yeah, I think you got to take Minnesota here too. Just as the step up between non-Power 5 and Power 5, and Minnesota's not a good team, but just I think lining up against them compared to Bowling Green, I just don't think that's going to be very favorable. We'll move on. Serve Pro First Responder Bowl. Dalt, you're a first responder. Thank you for your service. We've got Texas State against Rice. So a battle of a couple Texas teams here, and Texas State comes in here as a 4-point favorite. This is a team that everybody saw beat the Baylor Bears early this season. They finished 7-5. Rice is 6-6. You got to see Rice up close and personal with 17th year quarterback JT Daniels, who has now medically retired from college football. Finally. So who you like here, Dalt?
I like Texas State. I know. Is JT Daniels even playing in this game?
I doubt it. If he announces he's retiring, I doubt. Yeah. Very doubtful.
Whenever I was going to mention this earlier when we were talking about the 2018 kids not leaving, when I seen JT Daniels deal pop up on an on-3 deal, I was like, is he really going in the portal again? I had a little bit of a heart attack, and then I read it, and it was like, "I'm medically retiring." I was like, "Good for you, you old man! Like,
Yeah, I
go
mean,
start your 401k."
yeah, right, yeah. I mean, he's gonna be entering the workforce a couple years behind a few people, I think.
Yeah.
He's been in college for so long. But yeah, I think I like Texas State here as well. I know Rice, they played your Longhorns fairly tough in that first half of that game, but I like Kansas, or I like Texas State. So give me Texas State. We'll move on to the guaranteed rate bowl. We've got the Kansas Jayhawks, 8-4 Kansas Jayhawks, taking on the University of Northern Las Vegas, mostly known as UNLV. Um, Kansas comes in here, Dalt, as a 12.5 point favorite over UNLV, who is 9-4. So this is a good UNLV team. I believe is UNLV is where Marion is, right?
Yes, Brendan
That's yeah.
Marion, former Texas wide receivers coach, is the OC there, running the go-go offense. Had a pretty solid year. I know they kind of fell apart towards the end. They had a couple heartbreaking losses, and they lose to Boise State in the, I
Mm-hmm.
believe they're in the
Mount,
Mountain
Mount,
West. Yeah,
yeah,
Mountain
Mountain
West.
West. Yep.
But give me give me the team with the horses. Give me Kansas. I believe this is Bean's last game ever to play as a Jayhawk, and what he has meant to that program, just staying there when he could have transferred and won a job anywhere else. I mean, I know OSU would love to have him. I
Mm-hmm.
know TCU would have probably loved to have him.
Oh
Baylor would
yeah,
have loved to have him. I mean, that's
several
this
several other
this
Big 12 schools.
this is a kid that just stayed, was loyal to the program and stayed there and got his shot this year and played really well. Pulled the upset against Oklahoma. Sorry, I had to bring that up. But
Yep.
in 2023, Kansas beat Oklahoma in football. At
Whatever you need to tell yourself, brother.
that Boomer Beamer. But no, give me Kansas. Give me the team with the horses.
You just got to find a way, don't you? You just got to find a way. You know what? We'll let it marinate. Um, I like Kansas too, Dalt. I think you look at the Neal kid and the oh um what's the other running back's name?
Highshaw,
Highshaw. I think I
Smoke 'em.
assume yeah they're both probably I assume going to play in this game. Just think it's going to be a little too much for UNLV. You do have Daniels. He's coming back to Kansas next year. That was announced, there towards the end of the season, which who knows what that looks like for Kansas because he can't stay healthy. But yeah, give me the Jayhawks as well. And we will move on to the Military Bowl presented by GoBowling.com, which features the Virginia Tech Hokies 6-6. And I can't quite figure this one out, Dalt. Against the 11-2 Tulane Green Wave, and Virginia Tech is an 8 point favorite in this game.
Willie
And
Fritz isn't at Tulane anymore. That's why.
well, I
It's because
get
he's at
that, but
Houston. But yeah, 100%.
I
Give
don't
me
feel like
Tulane. This is
in a in
ridiculous.
a in a one-off bowl game, like I don't think that makes, especially one like this that doesn't really matter that much. Like I, I just don't see that at all. Virginia Tech has been very, very bad, like very bad. We talked
Uh,
about them being one of the worst teams in the ACC, and they absolutely have been. I mean, not very good at all.
well, this is another quarterback's last game,
Yeah,
and
I like.
I'm really high on this guy, and I know you really like him as well.
Yeah, I assume you're talking about Pratt at
Yes, sir.
Michael Pratt. Um, Tulane's a team that has almost 1,300 yard rusher in the Hughes kid. Um, I just think Tulane, man. I think they're a better team, and even without their head coach, like I think they win this game. I think they handle Virginia Tech, to be quite honest. So I'm going to take the Green Wave as well. And we will move on, Dalt, to the Duke's Mayo Bowl, where the winner or the head coach, the winning head coach, gets a Gatorade jug of mayonnaise dumped on his head. And I've seen this a few times, and I'm going to tell you right now, Dalt, there might not be a worse celebration in all of sports because if you wanted I'm telling you, they'd have to tie me down. You're having to tie me down. I might lose this game on purpose if I was the coach. You are not dumping a Gatorade bucket. of mayonnaise on me. Not happening. But we've got the North Carolina Tar Heels taking on the West Virginia Mountaineers. Dalt, if this were a basketball game, be a pretty good matchup, but it's a football game. I assume Drake May's probably not going to play. Props to West Virginia. We
Another
said Neil
team we're
Brown was
picked
going to be
last.
fired. We said Neil Brown was going to be fired. They were picked dead last in the Big 12. I've heard from several different people that they made that a point of emphasis all season long. They posted the number 14 basically all over their locker room and facilities. And they were a middle of the road Big 12 team that, at times looked pretty good, at times didn't look very good, but they go 8-4, and Neil Brown saved his job. And they come in here as a 5.5 point favorite over North Carolina. And I don't know about you, Dal, but I think I like the Mountaineers in this game.
I'm
What do
taking
you
them.
think?
I'm
Yep.
taking them. I don't. North Carolina without Drake May and that defense. Yeah, I mean,
It's one of those right there. Not
yeah.
good. Okay, so we both like West Virginia. Neil Brown, going to be nice to see him get mayonnaise dumped on his head. That'll be a lot of fun. And we move on to the Direct TV Holiday Bowl. And again, must be another typo, Dalt, because we've got the 15th ranked Louisville Cardinals taking on, phone says USC, but I could have swore Mario Williams guaranteed an undefeated season and national title before we kicked things off in 2023. So I not sure what USC is doing here in the Holiday Bowl. It says they're 7-5. That just must be incorrect. But my Louisville Cardinals, by the way, 10-3. You know, heard about it. Louisville 7.5 point favorite. What do you think here, Dalt? Who's going to play quarterback for USC?
It's got to be the 5-star freshman. It has to be. I don't think there's anybody else on the team. Who's going to play quarterback for Louisville? After the way the Plummer kid looked against Florida State.
Well, you make a good point, but
this
assume,
is a different defense that he's going to be playing. Give me Louisville.
yeah.
No, because Caleb Williams isn't going to play, and Lincoln Riley's mad about it. Like, dude, what the hell do you expect?
Yeah, you're 7-5. Yeah, give me. I'm riding with Louisville. They were my team, sleeper team, my one sleeper team that they did everything and more. Dalt played for a conference championship game. Looked terrible against Florida State, but that's neither here nor there. And yeah, I think they're going to win this game. And oh man, this one's good. We're going to move on here, Dalt. The Tax Act, they you know what? I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. The Tax Act Texas Bowl featuring the beloved Texas A&M Fighting Aggies and the 20th ranked Oklahoma State Cowboys. Texas A&M actually comes in here, Dalt, as a 3-point favorite over Oklahoma State. Give me your thoughts. We're kind of getting into some of these games that we know a little bit more about these teams. What do you think here?
You mean what do I think about the Great Value Red River Bowl game? Maybe the Little Brother Bowl. Is that what we're calling it?
I'm going to let you say it because I don't feel like I'm allowed to.
The LB squared, the Little Brother Bowl. I can say it.
It's I've heard a lot of people talk about it. Dalt. We're going to do it. We got to do it. People, the meme of you ask your mom, can I have Red River Rivalry while you're at the store? And she says, no, son, we've got Red River Rivalry at home. And then it shows a picture of the game, and it's the Red River Rivalry at home, which is, obviously the joke, that everybody's going to make is this is obviously Texas A&M, Oklahoma State, Texas and Oklahoma's, in-state rivals who, are mostly referred to as little brother because of the success that the other team has had against the other. But again, here, let's not get too far off the tracks, Dalt. Who do you like in this game?
I like Texas A&M. I think that the quote unquote script to beating OSU is out, and I think that this Aggie defensive front, even though they are without Walter Nolan, is going to be able to stop the run. And we've seen what Bowman can do whenever you let him throw it around the yard. So give me Texas A&M. I think that I like their third string quarterback. He's a mobile guy. He makes plays with his legs, and I think that could be something that hurts Oklahoma State.
For sure. Yeah, I think you're totally right. Your Longhorns, they kind of, which I think that's been the case for OSU all year. There's just not been really any teams for the most part. I mean, there's been some teams that they've done a fine job against Ollie Gordon, obviously, who he was announced was the Doak Walker winner, um, but Texas obviously shut him down entirely, and OSU had no real answer because, like you said, Alan Bowman he's just not the kind of guy that's really, for the most part, going to go win you a game. And again, I'm not trying to take shots at Oklahoma State, but he's a game manager. That's all he is for them, and that's fine. But you have to have that success on the ground, and if they don't do that, which it's going to be tough to do against a very stout A&M defensive front, it's not going to go well. So I'm going to take A&M here too. No ill will towards Oklahoma State. I think A&M wins this game. They have kind of the home field advantage with it being down in Texas, which Oklahoma State fans, they'll travel, but I like the Aggies here, so I'm going to take Texas A&M. And so we'll move on, Dalt, to the Valero Alamo Bowl, which features my 12th ranked Oklahoma Sooners coming in at 10-2 against the surging 14th ranked Arizona Wildcats. Which, what I don't understand about Arizona, they're 9-3. They say that bear down thing. Like, I don't get it.
I think like bear down cats, like
yeah, but I don't get it. I know what that means.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't like it.
It doesn't matter because they're winning this game.
Okay.
No, and I don't mean that negatively against Oklahoma, but you're going to have a true freshman playing quarterback for OU. You're going to have one of your key linemen missing on the inside, and this is an Arizona team that has a lot of momentum going for them right now, and an OU team that's going to be finding out what they got in a true freshman quarterback.
I'm obviously going to take Oklahoma.
Obviously.
And I think this is probably, I would say, outside of the New Year's Six bowls. And I'm not just saying this because it's Oklahoma, but I think this is one of the more intriguing matchups outside of the New Year's Six. And I actually think it's more intriguing than a couple of the New Year's Six bowls, to be quite honest with you. But like I said, Arizona comes in at 9-3. Like, what an opportunity for them and Jed Fish to potentially win 10 games after what that program has been through, and they would basically put the exclamation point on that 10th win with it being over a program like Oklahoma. So obviously a massive opportunity for Arizona. I do think Oklahoma comes in here with a lot of question marks, like you said, with Jackson Arnold, who's going to be starting in his first game. And then with the situation at offensive line, obviously for Oklahoma, but I don't know. I can't pick against Oklahoma. Like, I can't. I mean, if we were picking against the spread or something like that, I think Oklahoma's going to win the game. So I could be wrong. It wouldn't shock me at all if Arizona beats Oklahoma, and whatever, so be it. But yeah, I'm going to take my Sooners. I think they find a way to win. So we will move on. And let me see here. Got to get back to my list. Next game, Dalt, we've got the Wasabi Fenway Bowl, which is obviously played, I believe, at Fenway Park, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Which features the 24th ranked Southern Methodist University, American Conference champions, 11-2 Mustangs, taking on Boston College, who comes in at 6-6. SMU's 10.5-point favorite. Dalt, I think this is pretty easy.
Pony up. That's
Yeah.
all. That's it. They're about to curb stomp Boston College.
Yeah, I like SMU here a lot. I think they win this game. So yeah, give me Give me SMU. We'll move on to the Bad Boys Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. We've got your Rutgers Scarlet Knights taking on the Miami Hurricanes. Miami comes in here, Dalt, as a 1-point favorite. Another quarterback in the portal that we didn't mention to start off the show, Tyler Van Dyke. He's actually committed to Wisconsin today. Actually, we didn't touch on him. I guess he's kind of a notable guy, not super notable, but he will obviously not be playing in this game for Miami. So don't really know what they've got at quarterback behind him. I don't know anything about Rutgers. I'm going to assume you're going to take Rutgers.
Oh, yeah. Home game in New York because nobody cares about football in New York. Pinstripe Bowl. Isn't this played at Yankee Stadium?
It is, and it'll be like half empty.
Well, who cares?
Because, again,
Scarlet Knights.
Nobody cares about football in New York.
Scarlet Knights.
You know what?
You tell that to Eli Manning.
Give me that's NFL. Totally different.
It's football.
Totally different. No,
football.
I say college football. Nobody cares about college football.
Now you're just lying to yourself.
Okay, whatever. Give me Miami. Hope they kill them. Next game, Dalt, we've got what used to be the Cheez-It Bowl is now referred to as the Pop-Tarts Bowl. And this is the only game that, for the first time ever, Dalt, we will feature a edible mascot on the sideline. Not sure if you saw that or not.
Is it going to be like a mascot with a bunch of Pop-Tarts on it, or is it going to be a actual Pop-Tart?
Don't know, but it's apparently going to be edible. So that's going to be, I guess, maybe like the Duke's Mayo Bowl, the winner of this game. Then maybe they can all tackle the mascot at midfield and just ravage whoever the poor guy is in the outfit that's apparently edible. But we've got the 18th ranked North Carolina State Wolfpack taking on 25th ranked Kansas State. Top 25 matchup, Dalt. One of our few top 25 matchups outside of our New Year's 6 games. Who you like here? Kansas State 3-point favorite.
Give me K-State. I think just better on defense. I know you lose your offensive coordinator, but it's going to be a lot of that QB run that they love so much with the Avery Johnson kid. So, yeah, give me K-State.
Okay. Yeah, I like K-State as well. And so we'll move on. We're kind of winding down here. Just have a few more left. Tax Slayer Gator Bulldog. We've got the resurgent Clemson Tigers coming in at 8-4, taking on the Kentucky Wildcats in the Gator Bowl. Clemson comes in here as a 4.5-point favorite. Do you like the Tigers or you like the Wildcats?
I'm doing this solely for my buddy Conley and the TikToks that he sent me from the college playoff predictions. Kentucky Wildcats, come on, kitty cats. So give me Kentucky.
Okay. Yeah. You loyal, your buddy Connolly, who's I believe is a loyal listener of the podcast. I respect it, but I'm going to have to take Clemson. I think Clemson's a little bit better. I think this is a sneaky good game though. Really, couple of teams that. I think they may be a little better than their records indicate. Could maybe be a little worse. I don't know. You never know. Kentucky obviously had that big win over Louisville to end the regular season. When what's a big rivalry game for them. So yeah, give me Clemson. I like Clemson. So we'll move on to the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. We should have had a competition, Dalt. Like if I knew enough people would vote on it, I may start. I may actually do that. Make a poll for the next episode. What's the most ridiculous name for the bowl games, and see what people think. But we've got 19th ranked Oregon State coming in here against 16th ranked Notre Dame, who I'm going to assume Notre Dame is going to be without Sam Hartman. I don't think he's said whether or not he's playing, but I don't think he'll play, but he might, I guess. I don't know.
Oregon State's without everybody, though, so give me Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
All my teams that I was really high on this year outside of Texas go into their bowl games, and I'm picking against them, except for Rutgers. It's just heartbreaking.
Every team you liked has fallen apart, lost their coach, lost their quarterback, literally Oregon State, Duke, like you just said, other than Rutgers, it's just kind of been bad. But moving on, Dalt, AutoZone Liberty Bowl. We've got Memphis 9-3 taking on the Iowa State Cyclones, who another coach that was probably under some heat this year, and Matt Campbell kind of had a lot better year than what a lot of people thought they were going to have out there in Ames. They come in at 7-5. Who do you like here? They're 8.5-point favorites in this game.
Iowa State. I like the quarterback for Iowa State. I believe they found something in that young running back as well, and they just play really good defense.
Yeah, that 3-3-5, John Haycock.
Oh yeah.
Just hard to figure out for the most part. I told you after that game that we played against Iowa State, the Beck kid was going to be a player. I really think they've got a nice player in him. I think here in a year or two, he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks, maybe in the Big 12 potentially. But moving on, Dalt, and again, just to note, not going to pick the New Year's Six Bowl games tonight because we're going to do basically a whole episode talking about the New Year's Six and then the two playoffs. That'll probably be our next episode, or maybe a week from or whatever. But we're just sticking to the regular bowls tonight because we're picking them all, and we'll do our New Year's Six preview separately. So we'll jump over the Cotton Bowl and the Peach Bowl and head to the Trans Perfect Music City Bowl, featuring the Auburn Tigers and the Maryland Terrapins out of the Big Ten. Auburn comes in here as a 2.5-point favorite, Adult. Who do you like?
Give me the Terps. I like Maryland. I think that the Tungvaloa kid is a good quarterback for Maryland. I think what they've got going on, they had a really close game with Michigan to kind of end the year. But Auburn's just, they get up for good competition and they just don't get up for anybody else. So give me Maryland.
Yeah. I like Maryland as well. Think that they're going to just be maybe, I don't know, Auburn. I had a game against Alabama, but that's such a big rivalry. Can't really base anything off of that. But I don't know. I could see Auburn winning this game, but I like Maryland here. I think they're just going to be too much offensively for Auburn. So we'll move on to the Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl, which features the Toledo, I believe it's the Toledo Rockets against the Wyoming Cowboys, who their head coach, Kirk Bowl, I believe is his name. He announced that he is officially retiring. Is he going to coach in this game? I think.
I think so.
So this will be his last game. A guy that's just done a lot for Wyoming. That's been a team that they've been a very competitive non-Power 5 football team. You think about guys like Josh Allen, who's now in the NFL, that played quarterback out there at Wyoming. But Toledo, 11-2. Who you like, Dalt?
Give me the Rockets. I witnessed this Wyoming team firsthand, like actually at the game, and I think there's some good pieces, but they don't have athletes, man. They're just really hard-nosed, tough kids that play hard. But I think Toledo's just got a little bit more athletic out on the edge that they're going to take advantage of.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take Wyoming in what is going to be his final game as the coach. I think that's going to motivate him to win that game for him, send him out on top as a victor. And yeah, give me the Cowboys. I like Wyoming here. Two more, Adult. Two more. We're almost done. Almost an hour and 10 minutes in. We're getting there. Our listeners might hate this episode, but you know
they're going
what?
to hate this episode so much.
The ReliaQuest Bowl, Dalt, which features the Wisconsin Badgers, who did not live up to our expectations at all, against the 13th ranked Louisiana State Tigers and Heisman Trophy winner Jaden Daniels, who I don't know if he's going to play in this game or not. I don't think it's been announced, but obviously
I don't think it matters.
I don't think it really matters either. I don't see there being any situation or scenario in which Wisconsin wins this game.
Yeah, absolutely not. Give me LSU.
Okay, yeah, give me LSU, especially if Daniels plays, this will be a blowout. Like, it'll be a total bloodbath, like a killing. And even if he don't, it might be anyway. But our final game, Dalt, not the Cheez-It Bowl, but this is sponsored by Cheez-It. It is the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, and it's featuring the Big Ten runner-up Iowa Hawkeyes against the 21st ranked 8-4 have no idea how this team's in the top 25. Whatever, college football playoff committee. Anyway, 21st ranked Tennessee Volunteers, Dalt. Tennessee comes in here as 8.5-point favorite. Tennessee's going to win this game. You think?
I don't know. I was really good on defense, but they suck on offense. They suck. There's no soft way of putting it. They just suck. But it's not like their defense can't stop Tennessee.
Right.
But their offense may not get in the red zone all game. Whole game.
I mean, that's it.
They suck. The offense sucks. The punter's the best player on the team. They cheer when the punter runs onto the field. That is how bad Iowa's offense is.
It is all time bad.
It's terrible. But yeah, give me Tennessee. I don't know. This might be like a 10-0 game. This might be the worst bowl game to watch. And that is going to be that's saying something. There's some bad bowl games, but this one might be the worst.
Well, I think any game that features Iowa's offense is that's a pretty painful watch. But speaking of painful, this was kind of somewhat painful. It was painful reading all these games. But we have reached the finish line, Dalt. We have picked all of our bowl games just like we did a year ago. So new listeners, old listeners, sorry. You're going to have to hear this every year because we're going to keep doing it because we like to do it, whether you want to hear it or not. That's, don't care.
You'll listen and you'll like it.
Yeah, exactly. Just put in your headphones and get through it. That's all I know to tell you. But again, like I said, Dalt, going to see how we do. Obviously, it's always fun to keep up with this stuff. And we will be back for our next episode, I believe. Going to go ahead and do our New Year's 6 preview and preview the 4 playoff games, which that'll be more centered like a typical episode. I know this one was a little bit different than most, but I guess, Dalt, do you have anything else you want to touch on or mention before we get out of here?
No, sir. College football is almost back.
Yeah, it's you got, like I said, you got a few more days, and then you got a ton of bowl games to watch. Most of them are not really going to be worth watching. But Dalt, if you don't have anything else, then I guess we'll be back in a week, and we're out.
Don't forget to cover the flats.